There's some people working here today, so if it's not,
That's
I apologize.
that's totally okay. I have children. It's always loud here.
There you go.
Okay, so you just finished Sphere 1, yeah?
I did just about a week or two ago, yeah.
Okay, who were you with originally?
Um, Actually, originally I was with Cliff Bays.
Okay.
He left, and I switched to Angela Pan
Okay.
at that time. And when I finished with her, we were talking about what I wanted to do from there. And she suggested that I speak to you because she felt like you line up well with what I wanted to do.
Well, I love Angela, so I take that as a very high compliment. She has
Okay.
great taste.
Yeah, I really enjoyed. I was sorry that I only had her for a few levels because I really enjoyed working with her.
Yeah, she's pretty fantastic. So tell me a little about you and what you're doing and what you're hoping to do in Sphere 2.
Okay, so I've been doing photography as fun forever, but probably the last couple years I finally started taking it really serious, and just kind of. I've been a professional artist for 20 years. I've been doing graphics and stuff for video games and websites and things like that. But the photography was a fun thing for me.
Nice.
But then it started becoming, I was more and more passionate about that than the other stuff I was doing. And in my spare time, I was doing that. And then I started wishing I had time to do that full time. And just by coincidence, the company I was working at the time closed about a year ago.
Okay.
And so I kind of looked at that as an opportunity to focus more on this and see, kind of what I could make of it. I've learned a lot on my own. I've learned a lot more through my time in Norton so far. I have been showing some in galleries, and I have sold a few pieces in the last year, which is the first time. And so, yeah, I'm trying to just see if, is it something I can do full time and make a business out of.
Okay. What do you love to shoot?
Most of what I've done thus far has been landscapes, architecture, a little bit of street stuff here and there. I'm interested in portrait stuff, but I just haven't had any experience with it, really. But yeah, my favorite thing to do is just kind of travel the world and take pictures of all the beautiful stuff I find.
Okay.
Share it with people.
Okay. So are we interested in portraits because we're interested in portraits or because we're interested in making money from portraits?
Kind of both. I do enjoy them. I do enjoy looking at them. I think it's just, I haven't been sure where to start and what I need. And you know what I mean? Like, I don't have, I guess I'm not sure where to start. Like, with my experience at it so far, which is practically nothing, I don't feel like I can, obviously can't ask somebody for money to take a photo of them. But, I probably do have people I could, start practicing with and, setting things up and learning how to use the lights and set up the studio shoots and that kind of stuff. I didn't even know where to begin with that. But,
okay. What is it that you're looking for from me?
I thought when I looked at your Sphere 2 description, I think the thing that kind of stood out to me was you talked about how you could kind of listen to what people's goals were and kind of help them make a plan,
Okay.
reach those goals. Because I think, I've been trying to show in galleries, which I've had pretty good luck with lately, although I haven't never done a solo show, which I really want to do. It's been more like group shows. But I'm just trying to, I don't know the best way to find the exposure to my art to reach the audience that might be interested in it.
Who is your audience?
I really like I said, I think, the art that I do is mostly the landscapes and the architecture. So it's kind of stuff that sells as art that, someone would hang on their wall. So I kind of see myself doing well in more of either a gallery setting or selling prints online. That kind of, I mean, and I probably even need help identifying who that audience is, because so far, the people I can get exposure online for places, and my website traffic has gone up a lot, but those don't necessarily convert to people that want to purchase anything.
Are you selling any work online or in other avenues besides the art galleries?
No.
Okay. How's your social media and your online presence?
It needs to be much better.
Okay. What social media sites are you on?
I have Facebook, I have Instagram. I do most on those two, and I actually have really enjoyed Instagram. I get a lot of traffic from there when I post things. I've noticed just watching the analytics of where the traffic on my website comes from. I just recently started using Instagram probably a couple months ago.
Okay. So which social media platform do you spend the most time on personally, not related to
Facebook.
Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
And you have a fan page on there?
I do.
How many people do you have following you right now?
Like 63, not many.
Okay. How many would you like to have following you?
1,000.
Millions. How about your Instagram following?
I am up to 116 on Instagram.
Do you ever use Instagram for personal things,
No.
or is it all pretty much business?
It's all been business.
Do you have it linked to your personal Facebook or your fan page?
No, the link on it goes to my photography website.
I mean, do you ever share on Instagram and then have that auto share onto Facebook?
Oh, I don't have an auto share, but I do post the same thing in both places.
Okay. Okay, so you have an interest in portraiture, but you're focusing primarily on landscape and architecture, and you like doing the gallery shows. So which would you like to focus on in Sphere 2? Because I'm okay with you doing both, but they're very, very different directions, so it's hard to go east and west at the same time.
Mm-hmm. When you say both, do you mean between landscape and portraiture, or between gallery shows and something else?
It's the same thing. Like the business models and the marketing models are very, very different for like landscape and fine art based portraiture as opposed to portraiture, which is more portrait and event photography is more service based. So people hire you for the service of having you preserve their memories and collect them. Whereas fine art is marketable to anyone. So the benefit of the portraiture style and the service style photography business is that your subject is your client. So you take a beautiful picture of me, I'm the one that's buying it. You take a beautiful picture of my kids, I'm the one that's buying it. So you have your sale when you book the session, when you're snapping the shutter, which is beneficial because it's immediate. So it's instant gratification as far as finances are concerned. However, no matter how beautiful a portrait you take of me and my family, chances are Angela's not going to buy it and hang it on her wall.
Exactly.
You know, because it's not her family. So once that sale is done, it's done. There's very little ability to remarket. And you can sort of push the boundaries, especially with weddings, because grandma wants a picture and mom wants photos and dad wants photos. You know, so like those are the extended sales. But once you get out of like immediate family, that's it. The image is dead.
Yeah.
As far as finances go.
I think what I'm good at right now probably lends itself more to the fine art side.
Okay. Then I would say that unless you really love and are passionate about getting into portraiture, that you set that aside.
Okay.
Like I'm fine with you playing with it and experimenting with it on your own and kind of hobbying in and seeing if that's something that you want to do. But I think that if you're looking to start doing this full time and you already have it working and you're already getting into galleries, deviating away from that is not a smart business move, even though it may be fulfilling artistically. So how important is the business side of it to you? Is it important that you make this a full-time thing?
I do want to make it a full-time thing, yes.
Does that outweigh your want to explore other genres of photography?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Then I would say that we stay in the landscape and focus on the landscape and architecture and how to monetize that. Does that sound okay to you?
Sounds great.
Okay. Would you rather have the photograph that sells for the most money or the one that is the most famous?
Oh, wow. That's a good question. I guess that's hard to answer. I guess at the point I'm at now, I feel like I want the money because I'm trying to get things moving.
Okay.
But at the same time, I do want, I would like it to be known, like people see it and realize what it is. Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah. there are both, like Beyonce is worth $500 million. She's very famous and she's very wealthy. But there are plenty of very famous people that are broke. And there are plenty of millionaires that you've never heard the name of. So, usually what motivates us and what we define as success is either fame or fortune.
Yeah. I would say right now I need to go more towards the financial side.
Okay.
I think I've been in a lucky position that once the company I was working for closed, my wife's has a business and it's doing well enough that it's allowed me a little time here to explore this. But it's important that I get this working, as well.
Can I ask you the tough questions now?
Sure.
Okay, so your wife's business is financially supporting your lifestyle right now. So at the exact moment, your income with photography or elsewhere isn't needed to survive. Yes? Right. So is the want to make income, is that important because that's going to change? And if you don't make money, you won't be able to keep the lifestyle? Or is it more of an ego thing of I have to help provide and bring into my family as well?
No, I think there will be a point that I would have to go back to work somewhere because I couldn't continue this indefinitely.
Okay. So in the element of need, how soon do you feel you would have to be making an income?
6 months.
Okay.
And honestly, if we see that it's progressing, as long as I feel like I'm progressing in that way, I can stretch it.
Okay.
I don't know how else to explain it.
No, I hear you. If you see the potential and it's growing, then,
right.
Some income is okay while we generate more income. It's okay for it to grow.
Yes.
Okay. So there isn't like a hard amount, like I need to be making $2,000 a month by month 6 or,
No.
Okay.
No.
How much money would you like to be bringing in a month?
I would love to start making a few $1,000s a month.
Define a few thousand, 2 or 8 or 3?
5.
5?
Yeah.
Is this all that you're doing right now? Can you shoot pretty much 24/7 right now?
Almost, yes. I am. I do help out here and there with my wife's business.
What does she do?
She's a consultant. She basically other companies outsource their human resources department to her and her team. Okay. And I do like the end of month invoicing and write the contracts when we get new clients and that kind of stuff. So it's definitely not even close to not even really a full part-time job. It's just,
it's just when it comes in and she needs a hand.
Maybe 8 to 10 hours a week.
Okay.
On that. But outside of that, yeah, I can shoot full time.
Okay. How many days would you like to be shooting a month? Would you like to be out with your camera taking pictures?
Did you say a month or a week?
A month or a week's fine too. How many a week?
Oh, at least 3.
Okay. When you go out and shoot for a day, how many images would you say you take from that day that end up making it to portfolio/gallery worthy?
Maybe 6.
Okay.
If everything cooperates, weather and time of day and that kind of stuff.
And how long would you say it takes you to retouch those 6 images?
I usually I don't spend more than an hour on one.
Okay.
Yeah. And most of them are less than that. That's kind of my long ones, I would say.
Okay. So based off of what you said, let's just see if this adds up for you, because sometimes they kind of sever themselves. At 3 days a week, if you're assuming that you can create 6 good images that would be gallery/sale worthy from a single day, you're creating about 18 images from working 3 days a week, which is, aside from the 3 days that you're shooting, that would be another 18 hours of editing time, hour leeway.
Right.
You said that's on the high end. So that would be 3 full days a week that you'd be working. Plus, if you're assuming that you're working about an 8-hour day, like a normal job, that would be 2 to 3 more days. So that only leaves you 1 day a week that you're not working. Are you okay with that?
I'm okay with that. It's more a matter of when you say the numbers like that, it sounds like like a lot of. But yeah, I would like to start with that as a goal. Yeah.
Do you think that you would burn out doing that? Because essentially you're working 6 days a week, so you're not even getting the weekend off at that point.
Oh yeah. No, I would like my weekend off.
Okay. So this is where we start taking into consideration other things, like how much time do you want to spend with your wife, and how much time does your wife want to spend with you? Because that answer differs. Like, I'm like, oh yeah, I want to spend time with my husband, and my husband's like, no, go work.
The weekends are important because she works a ton of hours during the week, so we really don't see each other much during the week.
Okay, so we would like our weekends free for.
Yeah. Although I don't mind, I don't mind. I'll do whatever I need to do to make things work, but that's the goal, right?
Yeah, but the idea is that we build the business around what you want life to look like, not just the money. So, it's right now as we have it, you say you want to make around 5,000 monthly, right? So let's look at that.
Okay.
So if we're working 3 days a week, and then we're adding another 2 to 3 days of editing, and we're working 6 days a week, that's 24 days that you're working out of the month.
Okay.
Which is pretty normal, assuming like a 4-week month, right? So if you're creating 18 images a week, and we're assuming a 4-week month, that's 72 images a month that you're making based off of those numbers.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever made that much before.
Okay. So if we're taking,
I think what it is when I go out on a day, I do usually end up with that much, but my days have usually been, I live in Dallas, which is not considered, it's a cool city, but it's not considered the most beautiful place. So usually I will go somewhere else and shoot for a couple of days and then come back and have a lot of stuff from that trip. But if I'm going to Dallas, around Dallas, 3 days a week, I can find cool stuff, but it seems like that's a lot of pace to keep up while I'm in town of the same place. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I definitely hear you. And it's definitely something that we could filter in, that the images that you create in Dallas, that we're taking a portion of those proceeds to cover travel costs for you to go shoot other places.
Right.
You know, the trick is figuring out how to market it so that it's different from every other person that's been to every other one of those paces. Because as soon as you Google wherever you're going, there's thousands of images popping up that are professional quality and snapshots and everywhere in between.
Right.
What's going to make it worth it for your image to be the one that people are willing to pay for?
Right.
Now, it depends on how we break it down, because if we say, oh, I can go out shooting, can I go out shooting for a day and take 6 images that I think are print worthy? Yeah, that doesn't sound like a lot at all. When we start adding that up and go, oh, I'd shoot 3 days a week, that's only every other day. It only takes me an hour to edit, but you're creating, 72 images a month with those numbers. Now, when you look at that, though, in order to hit that 5,000 mark a month off of those 72 images, you have to sell one copy of each of those images for $69.
Okay.
Which is nothing.
That's a lot. Yeah.
Now, when we think about that in terms of gallery shows and prints, then you just have to add your overhead. So are you spending $100 on the print and the frame? Is it $200? Is it $500? Because then if you needed to make $69.44, we'll say $70. If you needed to make $70 off an image selling one copy of each of those images, then you would just add that on. So if you are spending $100 on the print and the frame, then it's $170 that you're selling it for to put that $70 in your back pocket.
Right.
And the problem is that most people get all of these equations and things from other people based on how much they should sell and what their overhead should be and what their profit margin should be and blah, blah, blah. But you only need to sell it for $70 a piece profit.
Right.
That's how much you want to work. Now, that also gives you the option to go, $70 is nothing. I could work half that amount, produce half those images, and sell them so that I'm putting $150 in my back pocket.
Right.
And I would still be able to do that. I could price them at, $250, assuming that $100 overhead for the print cost. Right. Now, that also goes to say that you could do limited edition sales. So if we're producing those images, and let's say instead of 72 images, we're only going to produce, say, 10 images a month, you can still sell 72 copies of a single print that you're putting out in different sizes in limited edition. So people like, are you familiar with Peter Like?
Yeah, I love him.
Yeah. So he sells them in sets of 1,000, which is really high. I think it's like $9.95 actually, like 995 copies in a limited edition. And the price goes up the closer he gets to selling out because it's more rare.
Right.
Other people do it the opposite way, where the lower it is as a number, like if you're buying the first copy in a set of 12 and you're getting number 1, you're paying more because it's number 1, which is how most people do it. He did it a totally different way and went, as I sell out and you get to image 800, it's way more than it was at 200 because there's not 700 copies left. There's only 200 copies left.
Right.
So you can essentially take one image and market it out. Now, limited editions also just mean that you're not selling anymore. So some people think like, oh, I can sell 100 copies. Limited editions have a lot more to do with the materials and the size and other elements too. So you may sell, say, 10 copies of this image as an 11 by 14, but you can also sell 10 copies of it as a 5 by 7 or 16 by 20.
I always had a question about that. I didn't realize if you could sell it again as repackage it as a different way.
You can sell it again as long as it is different. If you say this is a limited edition of 10 prints that will be sold as matted canvas, framed, then that's all you can do. So what you can't do is you can't sell another 16 by 20 canvas matted and framed.
Right.
Because that was it. You were only creating 20 of them. So once those 20 are gone, they're gone. You can never resell it. But you could do a matted and framed, and you could also do another 16 by 20 that's a metal frame, because that's a totally different finish and look on it.
Okay.
You just have to be really clear about what it is that's in the limited edition. And that's something that I would definitely like to see you look at in terms of how you want your print work printed and displayed and what works for your retouching and your shooting style to bring out the vibrancy of the colors and where it looks the best and what you want to offer. Because it may be that you only want to print on metal and you feel that that's what brings it out. You don't like the canvas. You don't like the matted look. You like that high gloss metallic kind of finish and what it does for your colors.
That's what I have. Most of what I have right now, actually, that I really like is I have it on. You've seen the ones that are, I have them face mounted behind a 1/4-inch plexiglass with a metal backing to protect them. And it's kind of pricey to print them that way, or mount them that way, but they look really good.
Yeah. So if you look at that and then you get a canvas done or you get a matted print done with a matte finish and you're like, I don't like the way it's looking, then it may be that your limited editions, if you're selling them in sets, that they are all on that finish. Mm-hmm. But you do an 8x10 and you do an 11x14 and you do a 16x20 and then you do like a 40x60, you know, and you can decide. Usually the smaller they are, the more quantity it is. So you might sell 150 copies of an 8x10 of that, but you might only sell 2 or 1 of like a 60x40 print for an obscene amount of money because it's the only one there ever is. So you can price that one at like 10 grand because there's only one, you know, and the more exclusive it is, the higher the price it is because the harder it is to get to.
Okay.
So those are things that I would like to see you focus on first, is figuring out exactly how you want it portrayed and what you want it to look like. And then we can figure out the quantities. But you don't necessarily have to produce a lot of images to get to that. Like if we figure out that what we want to do and where you're comfortable at, you want to sell them at $100 a piece, and you have to sell 50 prints a month to get to that 5,000.
Right.
You know, and you have to price it according to that, where you're making at least $100 profit. So if it's expensive for you to get these and you're spending $300 in your overhead to get it printed, then you're pricing them for $400. But the idea that if it costs $300, you have to price it at $6 and account for an extra $200 for taxes and like all these heavy equations. Maybe I just rebel against that because I hate math.
Right. Well, that's what the stuff I read. So I think that's a problem I have now. Is I think the prices I have on things are probably way too high, especially since I'm not really known. But the things I read, I always talk about. Well, don't price your stuff too low, and then set your price, but don't lower them, and do this. You know, there's so much conflicting.
I don't care if you price them for $1.
Yeah,
I really don't. If it's supporting your life. You know, so there's a lot of different options. Like you could very easily take some of your work and create a beautiful line of Dallas focused postcards that get sold in gift shops for $1 a piece. And if you sold 5,000 of them, you would still make your $5,000 quota. So as long as you're getting to the money that is supporting your life and creating the kind of lifestyle that you want and allowing you the time that you want, if you can create one Dallas image, sell 5,000 copies of it for $2 a piece and put $1 from each of that in your back pocket, that's supporting your life. Who cares what anybody else says about what you should price or why or what the correct algorithms are, or you're ruining the industry? I hear that all the time.
Yeah.
I don't care. Your job is to support your lifestyle with your kind of artistry, with the business plan that makes sense for you. And the bottom line is that it is not one size fits all. So the people that are like, oh, this is the proper mathematical equation based on ancient economics from the Egyptians who decided that the value and cost of sales is this, like that's all nonsense. It doesn't work for everyone. It may work for some people. It may be that economists figured it out, but that doesn't mean that it works for your lifestyle, your business, the amount of work that you can put out. Because you're saying 72 images and going out 3 days a week, right?
Right.
So if I said, okay, I'm going to create a landscaping business, immediately I cannot go out 3 days a week because I have young children.
Right.
Nothing to do with business, has nothing to do with print quality, has nothing to do with algorithms, has to do with the fact that I have 2 young children that are in elementary school that want to be fed every day because they're very needy, you know, and I have to be home to feed them and love them and nurture them. So even if we both want to make $5,000 a month to support our lifestyle, our personal lives affect our ability to structure differently. So you can go out 3 days a week. If I can only go out 1 day a week, then I have to price 3 times higher than you in order to make the time that I want to work and the profit I want to make come together. So there's that personal element that doesn't work for everyone. So your job is to figure out, how much time do I want to spend? Is it important to me to be limited edition? Do I care whether I'm selling, 40x60 prints to hang over a mantle or in the lobby of a hotel? Do I have to see my work big? Is that important to me? Or am I okay with doing like little cards that are little gimmicks that people can do? Because some people hate the idea of that. They're like, I will never freaking put my image on a coffee mug. And I'm like, I'm totally fine with that. You know,
Right.
so it just depends on who you want to be as an artist. If it's going to make you cringe to go into a gift shop and see keychains with your images and stuff like that, and that's not who you are, that's totally okay. Then we build your business around that. But other people are like, I don't care. Just send me the check.
Right.
You know, so if you're of that mind where you're like, I'm creating the art, if you want to put it on a mouse pad, a keypad, a desktop background, a print over the fireplace, I don't care as long as I'm hitting that mark. That's a totally different mindset than the person that's like, no, I just want big, beautiful prints. And I'd rather sell one a month at $30,000, that goes here, as opposed to selling 30,000 pieces for $1 a piece, because that's important. It's a totally different business structure. Does that?
It does make sense, yeah.
Okay. But I think either way, depending on who you are, and that's something that I would love for you to spend some time thinking on. Really, the first steps for you would be, if you want to sit and you want to focus on business, I would sit down and I would talk to your wife and go, how many hours do you need me to commit to you in business? And then how many hours do you need me to commit to you as your husband? Because working as your life partner and helping out in your business is a totally different role.
Right.
You're the business partner, and then you're the life partner that's moving into a new house and handling all the responsibilities. But then you're also the romantic partner that has nothing to do with logistics and stuff. That's just the emotional connection. How many hours do you guys need as a couple? Are we going out to dinner once a week? Or is it okay if we're just passing ships back and forth as long as we sit down and have a cup of coffee in the morning? Like, what's the personal level? Because that will help you figure out the hours that you really want to put in. And you may find that when you're done logging hours for her business and for personal levels and for how much work you want to do, that it's not 3 days a week, it's 1 day a week.
Yeah.
And that'll change the thing. So that's something that I would really like you to put some thought and energy into first.
Okay.
Yeah. We can definitely work on the social media. We can definitely, if you're already getting into galleries for group shows, the next step to a single show, I don't think will be a problem for you. It's just networking and producing a good enough collection of work that warrants its own show.
Okay.
Almost everyone, I would say every person that's in the Arcanum, even if they're joining with that new camera smell still on them, where they're like, I still feel like everybody gets lucky at least once, especially with how intuitive cameras are, that I can pick one image from everybody's portfolio and do an Arcanum show, and everybody would be gallery worthy with at least one image. So if you can walk into a gallery show as a group and see how many images they're putting on the walls collectively, what you need to do is go, do I have enough imagery in my portfolio that can be on the walls right now that's sellable?
And does it need to, if you do a solo show, does it need to be like a theme where they all kind of go together in some way? Because I have a lot of stuff, but it's pretty varied, really.
There needs to be
something.
I would say that for shows and for books, there needs to be continuity. It doesn't have to be the same subject matter. I feel pretty strongly that I could go in and do a whole bunch of different genres, but there would be enough continuity in the way that I shoot and I edit that the colors would flow. Like, it may be that you have a blue period, and there's just blue color tones in the stonework of the architecture that you're doing, and blue skies or blue tinges in the editing process, or the light and white balance that you're doing, or it could be that it's all horizontal lines, or it could be that it's all from this time period or this season,
It's gonna be pretty loosely tied together.
Yeah, I would pick a theme.
Yeah.
And it might be something really simple like the number 3, or it's something like that. But there should definitely be continuity. The most important thing should be that I should be able to look at all your images. If you want to shoot in different genres or you want to have a collection of work, that's fine. But I should be able to take, let's say you're doing 30 images for the show. I should be able to take 30 images from you and 30 images from each of my apprentices in Sphere 2 and pick out which 30 are yours. If I can't do that, you're not ready for a solo show. Yeah. That's the tall order.
I do feel like, I don't know, I don't guess you've seen my stuff, but I definitely have a style, and it's, I think I can see it, but pretty much everything I have goes together really well. And I think it would be different than, other people's if you put it side by side. But
Okay. Are you still in Angela's cohort? Do you still have access to that?
I do still have access, yes.
Okay. I'm going to put a challenge to you.
Okay.
I would like you to go in, since I don't know any of her apprentices' work.
Okay.
I would like you to go pick, say, 5 of your images. And I would like you to get at least 3 other apprentices to volunteer 5 of their images each. And that would be 20 images. And I would like you to upload an album with all 20 of them into the cohort and see if I can pick out which 5 are yours.
Okay. So
That'll
5
be
mine and then 5 from 4 other people?
Yeah, at least 3. At least 3 other people. I think the 4 of you collectively, 20 images.
Okay. Okay.
So I would like you to do that. And then before you post that, I would like you to post an intro post and say, hey guys, I'm Adam. I'm joining Sphere 2. And post, a couple of your images, a couple of your favorites.
Okay. I'll do that.
And then based off of that, the other 5 that you include would have to be different than that.
Yeah.
And I would like to see if I can pick out your images and if the other people can pick out your images. Because if a bunch of the new apprentices that don't know you and aren't familiar with you can pick out which 5 are yours, then you're set. And I feel very confident that we could start booking solo shows for you. If not, then you'll get some really good feedback.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting for you to see if they can pull them together. It'll be interesting for the other people too, to get some feedback from other apprentices that they aren't connected to, and see if we can pull out all of theirs for continuity's sake as well. Maybe we'll do a hangout with it and I'll invite Angela to come on and the other apprentices. So
I like that.
That would be fun.
Okay.
Okay. So 5,000 monthly. We have some general guidelines for it. I feel pretty confident that we could start working on that. As far as your images and selling, how do you see your images being seen and sold? What kind of products? Are they all prints? Are they all big wall hangings? Do you like the idea of doing smaller prints? And
I think they look great, big, and that's how I have them in my house.
So size matters.
That's how I like them the most. But the ones that I have sold have been to people that requested smaller ones because they could not afford the big ones. So I'm fine with either. It's just how I like to see it.
Okay. So they want to buy smaller prints. So your work is sellable, but they're citing cost as a reason.
Yeah.
How, what would you say the average size?
And when I say that, it's only been 4 pieces. I haven't sold much.
That's okay.
Yeah.
4 pieces is better than 0. That means they're sellable. So what is the size that they're buying and what are you selling them at?
I sold, they bought 18 by 24s. I sold 3 of those at $350 each. And I sold one 16 by 20 for $200.
And what's your overhead?
Those were the face mounted to plexiglass. So they were fairly costly. Yeah, they cost about 50% of what I basically doubled what I paid for it to sell them.
Okay, so those aren't small for me.
Those aren't small.
No, I would say, well,
they were buying it as something to hang on their wall. So and even 2 of them after they got it, because I told them ahead of time, I was like, because they showed me where they were going to put it, and I said, I understand there's a budget here, but this is going to look small when you put it on that space you're showing me. And it did. They came back later and said, we love it, but yeah, it looks small. We wish we could afford bigger. So just depends on what people want to do with it, I guess. But, I'm fine with little ones.
Well, for me, I think large in terms of thinking from a client perspective, small is not wall.
Okay.
So if you look at frames, if you go into a standard store, even like a Target or, Walmart, like your little home store, anything that has like an aisle of picture frames, anything 8 by 10 or smaller has the stand to stand.
Right.
you know, so it's meant to sit on a desk, sit on a table, sit on a shelf. 8 by 10 and smaller is a small print. 11 by 14 and larger don't have them because that's too big to fit on most surface areas. Those are made to be wall print. So 11 by 14 and up is considered a big print. Obviously, we all love the idea of having like a 60 by 100 that takes up the entire wall because they just have to have it.
Yeah. Well, I think that's what I have in my house. I find I print mine that I put on the wall at 30 by 40. That's just the size that I like, that I feel fits on the wall well. But yeah, that's not something that at least the people that notice me now are not going to be able to afford because it costs me too much to produce it, to sell it to them for their budget. At least the people that approach me so far.
Okay. All right. So I think figuring out the print sizes that you want to offer it in, whether you want to be limited edition or not. That those are good things to be thinking of for the next couple of days as well.
Okay.
I would definitely also look at the option of doing small prints in terms of like 4.5 by 5.5 and 5 by 7, which are like postcard size, greeting card size. Those are definitely good markets that you can sell a lot in a small quantity. So it becomes the question of, if you're trying to get to 5,000, do you care if you sell one huge print for 5,000 or if you sell 5,000, 4 by 6s? Does that matter to you?
It does not.
Okay. So we can offer a lot of different options then and branch out on what the potentials for your sales are.
Okay.
Which I definitely think is more saleable and opens up a lot of different markets, because little gift shops and things that are local, especially if you're shooting in your local area, having smaller options is better for a lot of the little local stores, which opens up to the tourist markets.
Okay.
So that's something that like people think all the time, like, oh, I live here, and it's the kind of thing like Trey came over to the US and did his like tour for the Peak Design bags. And he did it in Philadelphia, which is 20 minutes from me, 30 minutes. And he went to places and we did the walk around and I'm like, oh, Philadelphia, whatever. Like, I get it. It's major city on my side of the country. Okay, whatever. I was excited to go do San Diego and even like New York and Miami. Like, I wanted to do all the ones that were further away. He did it. And even though I have lived in this general area within an hour of Philadelphia my entire life, we went to a whole bunch of places I've never been to that I knew were landmarks. And I was like, oh, this is really cool, So you have to remember that, like, even though you're like, oh, like, I shoot around here all the time, there's only like so many pictures you can take of Dallas. People that will never get there love the idea of seeing it. And people that are coming there once and see it as a destination place want those kind of things to take home to go, I was here.
Yeah, that's true.
And I wish you were too. So that's a definite market that I think a lot of people overlook when they're in their home area, because they forget that not everyone has seen it or will see it. Okay. So I think I definitely have enough to build a sphere. It would definitely be focused around the landscape, the potential markets for that, both online and in brick and mortar type galleries, and building you towards that.
Okay.
Sitting down with me for some time. How are you feeling about joining Sphere 2? Because I'm a tough love kind of person. I don't know if Angela like gave you a proper rundown, but I have the habit of being referred to as the meanest.
No, but I like that actually.
Okay.
I'm actually talking to you. I'm very excited about. I wasn't sure in the beginning because I have actually followed you for a little while, and I even bought your book because I like what you do, but it's so different than what I do. I wasn't sure if it would, if you click or not, but no, just all the information you've just thrown out at me right now is exactly the kind of stuff I'm looking for. So I'm very excited about it.
Okay. So my Sphere 2 is very eclectic. Everybody is looking to reach success. I would say I'm success based. So for some of them, they're doing very artistic things and still working on perfecting lighting and composition and retouching and stuff like that. Others are working on books. Others are working on their education platforms because they teach as well. So everybody's very different, which I think is helpful because you get a lot of very varied perspectives when you ask for feedback, as opposed to being in a focused cohort where everybody's doing what you do and kind of looking at it from the same view.
Right.
So I think that's a benefit. Your spheres and all of your challenges are going to be 100% different from everybody else's in there.
That's cool.
But you can definitely still connect. So it takes a little while. And when people come in, they go, oh, I don't know if I can really comment on your portraits because I'm not a portrait photographer. But sometimes you get very interesting feedback because they're so far out of your genre. So I definitely encourage you to like be involved with everyone as if you're an expert in it. Whatever you have to offer has value.
Okay.
When you get in there, you'll see instead of, I'm not sure how Angela has her set up, but in my foundation sphere, it was like level 1, level 2, level 3, and they had everybody would post their level 1. When you get into the sphere 2, it'll say sphere maps. You can go in and you can read what some of the other people are doing and how different they are and how specific they are to what they're trying to accomplish.
Okay.
So your first assignment, your level 21, is an exercise called the wishing well. Okay. So you can go in, you can read what some of the other people did for that exercise, and your job is to go through and fill that out. Once that's done, then I build the rest of your sphere tasks. So you'll get all your assignments. So it'll be level 21, 22, 23. But they're based off of your answers in the wishing well exercise and from what we talk about here, which is why I record them. It usually takes about a week. There's a huge slew of you guys coming in because I just closed down my foundation sphere. So all my foundation people got like a 4 weeks head up that if they weren't at level 20, they weren't staying with me. I was going to rehome them. So you're about 6th or 7th in line right now at this point. So it'll probably take about 2 weeks to get your sphere map up.
Okay.
But there's other little challenges and assignments, and based on what we're doing, you have a pretty good idea. So you can start looking towards some of those answers.
Right.
You know how you have those conversations and arguments with people, and then like 2 hours later, you're like, oh man, I should have said this.
Right.
As you think about it and let all the information sink in, if you're like, oh, I really want to focus on this, or I would really like to have this be part of my sphere, drop me a line either in the community or in the chat and be like, hey, can we make sure that this is something that we're working on? Or I thought about it and I really don't want my images on coffee mugs. You know, like anything like that is good. Like the more vocal you are, the more personalized the experience gets, the more you get out of it. So, you know, be really bold. Don't be shy about anything.
Okay.
Once your sphere map is up and you have a read through, it's also totally okay for you to go, I feel like maybe we had some miscommunication and this isn't going to really work for me. And that's fine if it's the sphere in whole or if it's just a specific assignment. Like if you're like level 26 is like a no-go, it's totally okay for you to go, I really don't like level 26. Here's what I would like to do instead.
Okay.
And then I'll either say, perfect, let's do that. Or I'll go, okay, let's go with that, but let's do it this way.
Okay.
That way. So the goal is, yes, you're completing the tasks, but it's more, instead of being goal oriented, it's growth oriented. So as long as I see the progression of where this is going to take something you're doing and make you better, more proficient, or push you further, that's fine. If I feel like you're offering things that are allowing you to stay in your comfort zone, no growth happens there. So I will push you out of it.
Okay. That's fair.
Are you completely overwhelmed by the amount of information you've gotten in the list?
No, I'm actually very excited about it. It's a lot of great information.
Is there anything else that you wanted to chat about? Questions you had, comments, concerns?
No, just I'm excited to do all this. I kind of feel like it's the next step for me, so I'm excited that we got to talk and that everything you told me sounds very valuable to me. So.
Okay. So I'm going to issue you a challenge. You said that you were on a time frame that you kind of self-set of 6 months to start generating income. So
Right.
I'm going to put your sphere map together. And
Okay.
from the day that it is set, I am going to start a 3-month countdown. That is half the amount of time that you've set for yourself. I would like to see you at level 30 within 3 months.
Okay.
If you are able to complete all of the tasks in half the time, then I feel that you would be able to go forth on your own or in Sphere 3 with me and focus that. And that in the next 3 months, we would be able to get you very close to that $5,000 tag. But honestly, it's just a matter of how much work you're willing to put in.
Okay. I'm willing to put in a lot.
Well, it's the kind of thing, like I heard a lot of people tell me like, oh, it takes 10 years to get in the black and everybody's in the red the first 2 years. And, but it's more of an hours thing than it is a time frame. So saying, oh, it takes 4 years is not necessarily accurate. But if they were saying, oh, it takes 2 years to build a business, assuming you're working 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, like most people do, then if I'm willing to put in 16 hours a day, 5 days a week, or 6 days a week, I'm going to cut my time in half. And that's going to take me down to, 1 year instead of 2. So being really, really honest with yourself about how good your work ethic is and how much time you're willing to invest, because the other things are important too. You're married, so there's the relationship element, and you help work with your wife's business, which is there. And since her business is what's supporting, then it's taking priority until yours is competing on the same or more income. Those are just logistics. And if you really love rugby and crocheting and you need to make time for that, it's good to be really honest and go, I'm only going to work 4 days a week because I can't miss my knitting class.
Okay.
And I won't tell anybody that you do that.
All right.
So those are all things that should be in with the wishing well exercise. Part of that is making sure that you're being really honest with yourself and with me about the kind of hours that you want to put in so we can build around that.
Okay.
So, okay.
Okay. Yeah.
So I will go look for you in the Sphere 2 Lounge and send you an invite if you've decided that you are willing to submit yourself to the torture that is JLark.
I am.
Okay.
Yes.
And then I'll send you an invite to the community and the group chat. Go check out the wishing well exercises, get familiar with everybody else, and then just drop me a line if you have any questions in the meantime.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Good. I'm excited. Welcome
All right.
to JLark.
Thank you.